If you had to describe your childhood in 3 words, what would you tell me?
Conflicted, loving, transformative.
Tell me about conflictive and transformative.
So, conflicted because I grew up in a home where my parents didn't have the best of relationships, and they had their own challenges, and I have a great relationship with both of them and have a personal relationship with both of them, but together for them, for each other, it wasn't the best relationship. And what I'm really grateful for is I feel that I started to have the capacity to listen to each of them independently. And I think it gave me this really unique skill early on of being able to sit and be present with someone and just listen to their story and express compassion and empathy for their experience, but then do it on the other side as well. Because here were 2 people that I loved, 2 people who loved me, 2 people who cared about me in their own way. You know, my mom till this day, I always say is, anything I am today is because of my mom. The amount of love that my mom has filled me with has only allowed that love to overflow. And so the love that the world feels through me is the love I've felt through my mother, through my monk teachers, through the love that I've gathered. And any skill that I have is through my father. You know, my father's highly smart, thoughtful, strategic. Like, you know, any skill I have in that way is because of my dad. And so I got so much from these 2 people, but they weren't necessarily getting so much from each other. And being able to learn how to navigate and manage that at a young age gave me a lot of healthy experience in what I wanted to be when I was older and what I didn't want to be. And conflicted also because I grew up in an area where I was one of the few Indian people in my area. And so I was bullied for being Indian. I was bullied for being overweight. I was quite overweight as a child, and I would get bullied every single day. And when I say bullied, I mean like beaten up. Like I would get beaten up regularly at school, primary school, up until the age of about 7 or 8, to the point that I would come back with bruises. I would come back with my shirt ripped. I would come back with like, you know, bloody knees, whatever it may have been. And I was just, you know, bullied regularly. And it's really interesting because that actually didn't negatively affect my confidence because I was loved at home by my mother. But what it did do was build an empathy and compassion for other people who go through that, because I could see how damaging it was for other people. So that's the conflicted part, where it was like, I was having these like very mixed experiences where it's like, I felt love, but then I also saw hate. I felt joy, but then I also saw jealousy and envy. I felt pleasure in some areas of my life, and then I saw deep, deep pain and trauma in people's lives. And I think everyone can identify with that. I don't think that's unique to me. I think everyone sees that, but I think the way I saw it, I'm very grateful for, because I just started to realize that there was this duality in the world, and that learning to navigate that duality was the goal. The goal was not to run towards the love and ignore the other side, because the other side was always going to exist. The other side was always going to be present. Could I have the ability to live in the middle, accepting that the reality of the world is duality and that both of these things will coexist for the rest of my life? And if I can learn to navigate and figure out and maneuver through this chaos, that would be the goal of life. The goal of life was not to simply run towards happiness, was not to just run towards love, was not to just run towards joy, because the other side would catch up slowly. It would run right after you. So I think that's what was unique about why it was transformative. It was transformative because somewhere along the way, I picked up that ability to notice that I didn't have to run away from anything and I didn't have to run to anything. I actually had to be right here in the discomfort. And if I could sit there and be present in the discomfort, that itself would heal whatever I was experiencing.